into St James's, and my hands, everything, my whole body just lit up. I've got goosebumps all over my...
I get those goosebumps. I get those goosebumps every time you come around. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too young, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the hype.
Back again. We're back. Feels like we've had a nice little rest last few days, Daz. But we're back again. Nice little Tuesday evening. Transfer talk, the full load transfer show. We're back. Welcome to Loaded Mag, NUFC. We are here to talk all things Newcastle United. If any of you have just watched the Euro 2024 game, Turkey against Georgia, you were in for a treat. But you're also in for a treat on Loaded Mag NUFC. But first of all, Daz, how are you on this fine Tuesday evening?
All good with me, Pete. Yeah, I had a who's PDK. Look, KK. Yeah, he was doing it all by himself there. So I'm not having that. But yeah, no, he didn't have the greatest game. Yeah, all good with me, Pete. Busy day as usual. I had a bit of an extra break because I wasn't on the show with Ollie. I was looking after the little fella, getting him to bed and stuff. And but yeah, great to be back now, talking a bit of Newcastle and a bit of everything else in between. But no Chris tonight. Chris is busy here. Chris is working and busy where he is tonight. But how are you, Pete?
Not too bad. Always a rush midweek. Back from work, sorting a few bits out, and getting ready for the show. But other than that, okay, can't complain. The sun is shining. It wasn't earlier, but it is right now. So everything is good. Not too bad at all. But hope everyone else is well. We didn't give the shout out for the Tunes, but make sure we get the Tunes in. I think there's one or two already in the chat. Get your Tunes in, and we'll give you a shout out. That is for sure. There we go. Get in there. We'll keep putting them on as the Tunes rock up as we get into the show. Now, some will say, it's been a bit quiet in Newcastle United related in the last few days, but there's always little rumours and little snippets there that is on Loaded Mag. We'll keep an eye on, that's for sure, and we'll get into it. But before we start, we have to talk about the important stuff, and that is that the fixtures are out. Fixtures came out 9 o'clock this morning. The Premier League fixtures are in the bank for the next season, 24-25. I think you got some picks, Daz, as well, haven't you?
Let's look up some picks. Yeah, so let's look at them all together first, and then we can kind of break it down a bit. So yeah. Oh, Jesus, you're not going to be able to see that. It's too small, but we can read them out. We can just about make it out. We've a nice. We'll zoom in on the opening day first. So, can you read that? Yeah, a bit better. We play Southampton on the opening day of the season. Well, the Saturday. The opening day is going to be on the Friday evening with Man United playing Fulham. But we play Southampton. We're at home, and it'll be a 3 p.m. kickoff on the 17th of August. So that'll start us off nicely. And then we'll lead in then to, let's look in to our first five after that. So Southampton, Bournemouth, Spurs, Wolves, and Fulham to start us off. What do you make of the start, Pete?
You know what? Looking at that first 5 fixtures, I can't not be happy with that. I think that's a good solid start to the season, considering what we had last season, which was really tough start. They are 5 winnable games, that is for sure, and I'm excited by it. I'm not going to lie, guys. Always want to get a home match to begin with to start the season. We were there 2 years ago for the Nottingham Forest game. Obviously, last season we had Aston Villa. Now Southampton. I think 6 out of the last 7 seasons now we have been at home, which is a positive. It's always good to start at St James's Park. Southampton, newly promoted. It'll be a daunting task for them coming up to us. And we'll be, I think we'll be right bang up for it. But what about you, Daz? What kind of stands out for you with regards to those fixtures?
Yeah, no, I'm delighted with the first 5. Southampton, we'll have Mike probably back for away days as well, so leading into that as well. So the first away days of the season. But yeah, no, happy with that. Of course, we were at that Southampton home game 2 years ago as well. And of course, Spurs come for their annual beating then as well on the 31st of August. So looking forward to that. And Tonali is, all things going well, Tonali will be back at his game back for us. So all interested, all eyes will be on that. But yeah, very, very happy. And I know Chris put it in our chat right before the fixtures were announced about what are you hoping for? And I always like to get not easy, but an easier start, not be playing the big boys straight out the door. So then we can build up a bit of momentum and take it on further there. So yeah, I'm delighted with that first 5. If we zoom forward then a bit further, we'll jump to because they've broken it down nicely on the Newcastle Twitter for this. Let's go to the festive fixtures and in around December, January. So you have Ipswich, the Villa on Boxing Day, Stephen's Day in Ireland. It's Villa, and 29th of December then Man United at Old Trafford, and Spurs, and again on the 4th of January. So difficult fixtures in around the Christmas, Mark, especially being away to Man United and Spurs there. But your thoughts on the festive ones, then, Pete?
You know what? Yeah, it's tough fixtures. However, we would have said last sort of Christmas period would have been easier fixtures. I think we had Fulham at home, we had Luton away, we had Forest at home, and we only won 1 out of 3. We lost the other 2. We lost at Luton, we lost at home to Nottingham Forest. So it's hard to predict fixtures around these pockets of the season. And obviously we had the injuries and all the rest of it this time, but there's no reason why we can't get wins on the board against Ipswich in Aston Villa as a starting point. Look, we owe Man United from last season, so there's no doubt we'll be bang up for that game. And then the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, we've had some good luck there in recent years. We've had some bad luck last season, losing 4-1. Who knows? But look, you always got to just take it one game at a time. For me, I'm looking at those Ipswich and Villa games, that Villa game, and I'm thinking, let's get 6 points on the board. If we can put 6 points on the board in that run, for me, okay, that's already a positive start. And then whatever happens afterwards happens. You can maybe take a point at Tottenham, maybe look at taking a point at Man United. But it all depends. We could be on a monster run and be absolutely wiping the floor with these teams. So who knows at that point? But no, for me, bring it on. Bring it on. That's what I'm saying, mate.
And of course, they'll have Europe to contend with as well. So hopefully they'll have lots of injuries, and best luck to them when we come to play them then. So, well, that's the festive fixtures. Let's look now at the end of season, the last 5. So the last 5 are Ipswich, Brighton, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Everton. Home and last game of the season, 25th of May. So that's the one that definitely won't change. So that'll definitely be probably 4 o'clock on that last day of the season. But difficult enough. Chelsea and Arsenal there, and towards the end, we want to be in and around those Champions League spots by that time. What do you think, Pete?
Well, mate, I want it wrapped up by then. Wrapped up by then. Look, I'm not gonna lie. You know, we don't know what these teams are going to be like, what form they're going to be in. You know, Brighton finished in the bottom half last season. You know, who's to say they're not there again? And it's not the Brighton that we've kind of seen in the previous years. But you look at that: Brighton away, Chelsea at home, Arsenal away. That they're three really tough fixtures. Of course, we will. I've just seen N9 say the title. Well, who knows? But what I will say is that the Ipswich game, the Ipswich and the Everton game, you got to be looking at 3 points for both of them. So 6 points for those games, and then again, you assess yourself. You take it a game at a time at the Amex. Could you even say, Daz, 9 points? You know, Ipswich, Chelsea, Everton. What do you think?
9 points at home for the last three. Why not? At this stage, why not? You're not going to rule anything out. But yeah, let's forget about the fixtures, because they mean nothing unless we're going to strengthen our squad. I know. I've ignored the chat a bit because I wanted to bring that up on the screen, but I know David is asking us, what was it for the loaded away day trip? Well, we're in discussions what we're going to do there. There's some suggestions already. I'm sure Chris will put a pitch in for the last day of the season as well with Everton, but we'll see how it works out. Nothing decided. But
if it's what William Swift just put in the chat, I'll just do it for a second. If it's this, then we're all in. We're camping outside the ground, mate. We're getting in nice and early for that one. That's for sure.
Looking forward to what Chris's Lisa has to say about that one. But yeah, next thing I'm going to jump to Pete now, because I will forget it otherwise, is because the Euros are on. And we'll be due another competition in July for our loaded ultras. We said we would do something different, and yeah, we offline. We didn't do it on live because it'll take all day if we did. But behind the scenes, we ran a draw, and this was the outcome. So what we've done is we've drawn out from the loaded ultras. I think it's 138 or something like that, a loaded ultras at the moment, and we drew 24 names out, and there was another draw for assigning the teams, and this was the result. So here we go. We'll run through it. So this is the result. So you're all in different groups. So 24. So congrats, first of all, for being drawn out. But you've won nothing yet, because you have to win the Euros to win something here. We still have to talk to Chris properly about what the prize is, but we'll sort that out. But yeah, just let you know who was who. And Group A, Antoon Army has Germany, David Cook has Switzerland, To Coin a Phrase has Hungary, Foxy has Scotland. So that's Group A. Group B, 9 has Spain, Tom Dixon has Italy, Colin Nielsen has Albania, Craig Lee has Croatia. Into Group C, Shane Mawson has England. Interesting on that one. Paul Gallant has Denmark. Truls has Slovenia. Jules has Serbia. That's Group C. Group D, Stu Amos has the Netherlands. The Clonard has Austria, not Australia. Dave Bullman has France. Adam McCarthy has Poland. That's Group D. Group E, Gary Finnegan has Belgium. Mandy Pyle has Slovakia. Drew Knox has Romania. Michael Palmer has Ukraine. In Group F, Gabriel Axe has Turkey, Minnesota Mag has Georgia, Tampa Toon has Portugal, who are playing later against Lisa's Czech Republic or Czechia, or whatever they're having themselves. So that is the draw. So stay tuned to us throughout the Euros. Once we get out to the group stage, we'll kind of condense it a bit further and see who's left in the competition and where we are. But best luck to everyone, and Chris will be back to you with what the actual prize is at the end of it. We'll sort that out.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely sort that one out. Looking forward to it. So, best of luck to everyone. It'll be interesting. It makes it a little bit fun, doesn't it? It gives it a little bit of more of an edge. You've got a team to kind of look out for. But if you are any one of those teams that have kind of lost, then you're up against it. Let's be honest. But there's always a chance. There is always a chance.
Yeah, because they can finish in. If you finish in third place, you still have a chance. If you finish because the top two, and then 2 or 3 of the top third place teams get through. So you're still in the running. There's still plenty to play for.
Yeah, definitely. Well, best of luck, everyone, and we'll see what comes of that. But look, there has been some movement with regards to. Yes, the Toons is still coming in, gets in there. There has been some movement with regards to Newcastle United transfers. And look, we will revisit this because I think it's an interesting topic to talk about. And it is the situation with Michael Olise. Olise has been the talk all weekend into this week, certainly around the circles of Newcastle United. And it came out originally. Ornstein came out with it and said that Chelsea and Newcastle had been looking at Michael Olise along with a number of other clubs that had been scattered around in various different articles. But it has been mostly Chelsea and Newcastle. Now, I think most would agree, and I think you'd agree, Daz, that sort of Chelsea seem to hold the cards at the moment. All of the reports are being talked about, if Chelsea can agree, and that Newcastle have been long-standing admirers of Olise, which we know about on Loaded Mag NUFC. We've talked about it before. But there has been 1 or 2 bits of movement there. I thought it was quite interesting what Ben Jacobs put out. I think this was yesterday or the day before that, saying that Chelsea won't be forced to overpay for Michael Olise. The focus for Chelsea at this moment in time is whether they can potentially organise sort of an alternative sort of deal. There's rumours of players being added into this deal in order to make that transfer be able to work. There's obviously Newcastle being talked about in the background with regards to Olise, and it was reported in the Athletic as well that obviously our interest has been sort of added into this situation. Now, one of the things that I'd mentioned is that there has been this continual situation where Olise has been linked with Chelsea and they want to add and get these players. And there was a period of time where actually it looked like, Chelsea are struggling to sort of get this deal done. So my question to you, Daz, and to everyone else in the chat is, is there a chance with Michael Olise? I know we got a little bit excited about it on socials when it came out the other day, back in the last week, that we were interested in. But, is there a genuine chance of picking Michael Olise up at some point this summer?
Well, the sun has come out now, so I look like I'm on the sun again as the sun goes down on this time. But first of all, did you see where Wolves pipped Chelsea to a young Brazilian lad as well? So there's always hope that something would happen. Now, when that news would come out first about Olise and us being in for him, I thought, I don't know. I don't think he's going to end it, but Chelsea either. As was my first thought. I thought maybe someone else will have him on us. But also he seems kind of be a different kind of a character than he's his own person kind of thing. Like he turned down Chelsea before. He was at the academy, I think, and his brother still plays there. So yeah, the obvious thing is, yeah, he's going to Chelsea. That's it. Done and dusted. But I don't know. I wouldn't rule it out either. I'd say he'd do what's best for him. How we can see him progressing. And is it going to Chelsea and have 1 or 2 bad games, you're on the bench and then you're out of the picture, the chop and change, or the manager could be gone by Christmas. There's a different story again. It's it's not no plain sailing going to Chelsea and just thinking that's it, you've made it. And I don't think he's that kind of a character either. Because if he was going to take the easy option, he'd be at Chelsea already. He would have gone last summer. So we're in the mix, but I'd be like a 33% chance of it coming off.
Yeah, it just, I mentioned I think it might have been on Thursday when Ollie was on. I said, if we're going to get someone of his ability, it's something that we need to do and act quickly. We need to go, right, we've got the money to get this deal done. We've seen over the last 3 or 4 days, talked about Chelsea needing to trade players and maybe add players into the deal to be able to afford it. For me, we have to act now. We have to say, right, we've got the money on the table. We're willing to pay it. Are you willing to come to us? And if that is a yes, fine, let's get that deal done. Let's get it wrapped up quickly. If it's not, it needs to be established that deal isn't happening and we're moving on. There's 1 or 2 in the chat that have mentioned, the key word that's normally mentioned in a transfer window, and that's a smoke screen. And it could well be. It could well be. I do think, there is a chance of getting Olise. We're not favourites. It's as simple as that. But I do think there's an opportunity purely because we've got the money and we've got the will to get that player in. If Chelsea keep messing around with it, I think Olise will maybe start to look elsewhere. But the one thing I'll say is that I think Newcastle do need to act fast with any of their right-wing options that they're going for this season, because as you've seen and we've talked about, Daz, with the likes of Michael Olise, there's a number of others as well. They're all being linked, and all the top teams are after the same players this summer. So the players that we want are not going to be easy to get hold of. We're talking about Michael Olise there. He's a top talent. Like, he is young. His output last season, bearing in mind how many games he played, was outstanding. He's literally going to be a future international. We just need to establish what international team he's going to play for, because nobody knows at this point whether it's France, England are interested in him. There's African countries that have kind of looked into potentially bringing him on board. It's going to be an interesting one. So he is going to be like the golden goose of transfers that people are going to be after. But can we afford, Daz, to continue this waiting game and play second fiddle? Because with the amount of players that are out there, the amount of top players that we're after, if we spend too much time on this, like, are we going to be screwing ourselves over, potentially signing somebody else of the same ilk?
Yeah, no, you don't want to hang around on this. You want to move forward on it. But isn't he playing? Isn't he due to play for France at the Olympics as well? Or he's part of Henry's squad, I think, or he's been given the chance to play anyway. Yeah, you need to get this one done, but I think it'll rumble on for a while. And then we also might need to move on as well, because we can't be hanging around either. Because and we need to start selling a few of our players too. Because this June deadline is ticking on as well. So there's a lot to happen.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm just in the back of my mind. I'm just thinking, if this is not progressing sort of by first week of July, I would be shocked if we're not looking elsewhere, if we're not acting elsewhere, to genuinely look at some of the options that we're after. And you only look on here. The Athletic had mentioned on here the number of players that Newcastle United are interested in. So if Olise doesn't come about, you've got Noni Madueke, who has been linked, obviously, at Chelsea at this moment in time. Jared Bowen, Athletic have mentioned that Newcastle have got an interest in, and Somerville at Leeds, who we've touched on before. Talented player. He's going to have a lot of options as well. So all of those players that are mentioned lots of teams around us are all looking at the same players, and this is going to be our difficulty moving forward. And this is why how we act and how quickly we act is going to be key. So look, let's just assess some of these players. So we've got the likes of Madueke there to begin with. Now he's been linked more recently with Newcastle. What do you make of the potential of Madueke coming in and maybe Olise going to Chelsea and having that sort of round robin of a player? What do you make of that as our top level right wing signing for this team for next season?
I don't like it. First of all, I don't because and I think you said this in the show, Dolly, because I did watch it back. It took me a few days to watch it back, but I did watch it back. Yeah, he's a level below Olise for sure. Now, if at the right price, fair enough. If you're going to give him to me at the right price, not a crazy, because I'm thinking now we have 60 million to blow on a right winger. Give me all the options. 60 million or under, and let's look at all them. And he'd be well down that pecking order there, maybe down the 30 million mark. What did Chelsea pay for him from PSV?
Oh, great question.
I'll
have a look. I think
because I don't want them to getting a profit either, because we're doing them a favor by taking him off them if they bring in Olise. So no, I don't really want him as an option. The other two, I'm going to go for the other two options, Pete, as well. That
it's about 30 million, 35 million euros.
So about their money back kind of thing. No, like he with Eddie Howe as well. He's going to take him to another level again. So he's not a bad signing. But when they put it up with potentially 60 million to spend on the right winger, the position we really need to strengthen. Or okay, if you're giving me Noni and bring in Marmashvili, let's bring it back into the equation here. Then to balance things out, fair enough. But if it's like we're still going for Trafford, where are we going? Where are we going? Strengthening elsewhere. But no, it's a no for me at the moment on him. I look elsewhere. I don't know where. I don't think Jared Bowen is going to go leave West Ham either. He came on for England in their game as well in the Euros. And Somerville, I think he has a few suitors as well. Of course, with Leeds not getting promoted, he may be on the move. And yeah, there's a bit of interest in him. So that'll drive up his price too. So search far and wide.
And a few people, I think David Cook mentioned in the chat, which we're aware of because we've talked about it on the channel as well, is that Somerville tends to play on the left. And we've already got Barnes and Gordon there. So unless they're trying to recreate his position, you can understand it. So, for example, we've been linked with Federico Chiesa, was fantastic for Italy in the last game that he played in. Like Federico Chiesa, he played on the right-hand side for Italy. So he's not necessarily right-hand sided, he's predominantly left, but because his ability is so good and he's such high level, you would go out of your way to get him and transition him onto right wing, or even move Gordon onto the right and have Chiesa on the left, mix and match. You know that. But with Somerville and how young he is, you don't really you just want to be buying a player that is perfect for that position and can do the job straight away. With Somerville, it's a bit of a risk. He's had a year in the Championship, done really well, but it's still a bit of a risk, especially for the money that has been banded around the 30 million plus for him. It's a lot of money. It is a lot of money to get him in. Jared Bowen, I think you're right. I know there were sensitive links earlier on, and the Athletic is still reporting it. So there must have been some substance in there, and of course, I imagine would be linked with him. But is that a realistic option? I don't know. For me, I just don't think. I'm with you, Daz. I don't think West Ham are going to want to let him go. I think they'd be mad to let him go, but I just don't think that they're going to want to. So there's two. So you got Somerville. Not sure. Talented young lad, but is he the top level right winger that can complement Gordon on the other side that you want to go forward into a Premier League season? I'm not quite sure. Bowen, not likely. For me, I'm with you on Madueke. His final ball for me is not great. And I think he's got a lot of work to do. And I think I mentioned on the show with Ollie that for me, that Madueke and Almiron look pretty much similar. They're at different ages, like in different stages of their career. But at this moment in time, they're there. They're very, very similar for me in terms of the way they play. Madueke's got the capability of having a Miggy moment where he goes on a run and has a few goals and does okay. But you want someone that's more consistent at this level, at this point. And I'm not being funny. I always look at someone like Madueke. He's a young lad. They spent 30 million on him. And he's not been there very long. And the fact that Chelsea are willing to just kind of move him on almost raises alarm bells to me. You know, it's not like we coming in for 60 million for Cole Palmer and they're going, yeah, we'll sell him. You've got no chance of getting someone like him. You've got no chance.
But in his defence, there's so much upheaval at Chelsea, there's so much chopping and changing, so many players and options to choose from. It is hard to get going. That's why if I was Olise, I'd come to Newcastle, because do you really want to go get involved in all that and he could fall on the pecking order, get injured, which he has a bit of a tendency of picking up injuries as well, and they've been out of the picture. So think long and hard about it, and then come to Newcastle.
Definitely. Jordan 2 for Life has mentioned in Bremo as well. Another really good option. If you're Ali from away days when we had Brentford on last game of the season, she was looking at 80 to 100 million for him. Not realistic. I don't think he's going for that much. But how much is he going to cost to get him out of there? And then Pedro Neto. Nobody's talked about him this summer. Pedro Neto was one that we were linked with before the summer kicked in. You know, are we going to go back and revisit that? Are we going to hear links about that soon? Interesting. But the one here that Andrew Anderson has put on there with regards to Kaiser, he's got 1 year left on his contract. You know, again, you're going to have to move fast. You're going to probably have to... Oh, go on.
But just what I read about Chiesa is that he's waiting until after the Euros. He's 100% focused on the Euros, and then he comes back and sits down with his agent and Juve, and the decision will be made then. Now, there could be something already agreed in the background, who knows? But that's what's been said front of house anyway. So,
well, that's what I was going to say. If he has a monster Euros, that price, regardless of whether he's got a year left in his contract or not, is going up. Like it is. It's hard to pinpoint the right winger in there. I think we understand that the right wing position is so important. We need to get that right. We have to get that right. But you mentioned about another player. You mentioned about Mohamed Ashraf. Played well today. They lost. I mean, not going to lie. Two of those goals were absolute wildies. There's nothing you could have done about them today.
That's the two I saw.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the third one, he's gone up for a corner. They've gone for broke. They've tried to equalise, and then the Turkish players just tapped into an empty net because
William Smith has the answer to our problem. We can probably stick him in right wing as well, but loan Arda, we tried to get him in this last summer. I don't think we're getting him though on loan. He's going to be a superstar for sure.
Real Madrid have already said not loaning him out. He's staying with the squad, and that's a very smart move because he is a super talent. That you look at Toni Kroos retiring after the Euros, like he's not in the same position as such, but like that sort of eloquent player on the ball. Can make things happen out wide. He's kind of just a natural kind of progression in that's going to add to that level of quality and creativity. He's a top player. Would have loved him there. You mentioned Chiesa, good friends with Tonali. You're right. It wouldn't be a bad thing, would it, Daz, getting an Italian friend for our Tonali?
Someone to go to Wetherspoons with him, yeah. Sounds good. Match with him. Bring it on. But really, we'll be saying it close to the time, but Tonali will be like a new signing, of course. But it'd be great to see him back playing with us. So bring an Italian friend over. Why not?
Mamardashvili, we'll come back to that one, and we'll talk about the goalkeeper situation. The reason being is because there was an interesting little snippet that was put in the Athletic that I read today, and it was saying, reports in Spain suggesting that 40 million euros that was offered apparently hadn't actually been put in, although the Spanish media had suggested that we had. However, what was really interesting about that is the bit after it said the club switched their attention to Trafford once it was confirmed they would not be playing in Europe next season. And I thought it was really, really interesting because it wasn't long after that, and we talked about it again last week. We said exactly the same last week, is that it was really interesting how Newcastle's links with Trafford completely shifted as soon as Man United won the FA Cup. And it made me think, and I'll ask you the question, Daz, is Mamardashvili, could it be that Mamardashvili is completely off the table for Newcastle United now, and Europe was crucial in potentially swaying him to join the club? Is that potentially a possibility?
I don't believe that, though. I really don't, because if you said Champions League football, yes, I would believe it. Even if you said the Europa League, but the Conference League, if you're telling me that he's would turn his nose up at Newcastle because we're not in the Conference League, I find that hard to believe. All right, and so I know it's a mental thing as well, like playing in Europe every season, blah blah blah, and the pathway maybe to the Europa League and to winning a European competition as well. But I think he would see the bigger picture in that I come to Newcastle, I'm number one, right? I come to Newcastle, I get into the Champions League, or I win something with Newcastle as well. A club that hasn't won anything for a very long time, be it that, but that he can build on that. So I don't think so. It's going to be a step up in wages for him as well, moving to wherever he moves to. I just hope that someone else, that I hope that this doesn't happen. Because it's talking Edison, isn't there, going to Saudi? Maybe and Man City might look at him or something like that. So I know, but because the Trafford deal isn't done yet either, might be still playing out in the background. But maybe there's still a bit of brinksmanship there. And if things don't go so well, I mean, he made a few good saves today, but he wasn't. He did let in goals as well. So even though there were two of them are worldies, as I said. So still in play until we've got brought Trafford in, or until he's signed for someone else. It's still in play. Never give up.
Still holding on to the hope, Daz.
Hey, that's it. I see that the KK is bringing his price down first as well. So there you go. Because he wasn't great now today, but he was all on his own at times, and a bit greedy as well. So he's not. I don't like when you and I first started talking about him. He was as an option to Mudryk. And at that stage, he was in around, say, the 40 million. But then he just got better and better, and he had a brilliant season, and his price coming up off the radar. So, too expensive.
Yeah. Well, Mamardashvili could well still be on the table, and one person that definitely is on the table still is James Trafford. And it mentioned again the Newcastle open negotiations with Burnley for Trafford. And look, the deal is yet to progress, it says. There seems to be a bit of a stall with regards to the negotiations. So Newcastle value Trafford around the 15 to sort of max 18 million, whereas Burnley are holding out for 20 million. I think I asked you before, like what was what kind of be the price that we pay for Trafford. And I think we said kind of like max 18, sort of max 18, like is the kind of the figure. Do you think that's going to progress soon? We're going to need a second goalkeeper in. If what's rumoured with Dubravka moving on now, Dubravka has obviously made some claims. We'll come to that in a second. But Dubravka looks like he's moving on. We need that goalkeeper in for pre-season, surely.
Yeah, it is kind of funny because we look at a goalkeeper. Or apparently, we're looking at a goalkeeper. Like if you read the what's wrote in the media, and then we get our valuation, and it's just a bit too outside what we're willing to pay. Then we move on, and the same thing happens again, and the same thing happens again. So how it was like you have to be willing to negotiate or try to go up a small bit more if you need to as well. So. I think the deal gets done at 18 million. I think they paid 98 million and they won 20. So yeah, the deal could get done at 18. He has a season under his belt in the Premier League. He got dropped. So it's pretty much the same. Like for like transfer fee. So they need to sell, I think, as well, and because they need to focus on getting back into the Premier League. So yeah, I think 18 million is fair.
Yeah. Hopefully that deal gets done soon. They did mention as soon as the Kelly deal had been confirmed and that he'd obviously agreed to sign, that was the next deal that was going to be progressing. So for me, I think if we're going to get anyone through the door next or anyone confirmed at that point, it has to be sort of James Trafford, because it seems like that is the one that we're trying to work on. And to add to that as well, he's not at the Euros, so he is available to have that deal done whenever. So that should be the ideal scenario. Getting things done with regards to getting Trafford in. I do think it will happen. I'm going to be honest. I do think that deal will happen. I don't think Mohamed Ashraf will be, as much as we'd love him to be at Newcastle. I just don't see it happening. If I'm honest, so it's a shame. But Trafford coming in, I did mention last week. I don't know if you have changed your mindset on Trafford, Daz. If it does get confirmed, are you kind of coming round to the idea? I know we weren't, as a three, particularly happy about it. I am starting to kind of come round to the idea of Trafford coming in and understand the reasons why. Are you feeling the same?
Well, this time last year, as I said before, that I did mention Trafford among us, but it was kind of more as a young keeper to take over from Pope, and so. But then he did well at times, and then was very poor at other times for Burnley. But then again, he's a under pressure defense in front of him as well. So. If he comes in, I could see it as a backup for Nick Pope. It's just, as we said before as well, it's the worry of Nick Pope's shoulders. Then he's thrown in the deep end with Newcastle. Then I think then as well, we're still looking for that number one to take us forward into the future as well. A Marmashvili type keeper, whoever is flavor of the month or who is available at that time, maybe a year or two down the road. Maybe Trafford steps in and he proves himself by that stage. But if not, we need to reinvest. So yeah, let's see how it plays out. Could be smoke screen too.
Yeah,
but probably not.
you hope that it's just
still
you're hoping. I can tell, but I think there might be a few questions in there, and it might actually answer a number of questions or a number of topics that we might have. But there is one question, Daz, I just wanted to bring to you and everyone else in the chat first, and it was from a friend of the channel, and it's a Bazza on socials. So a really good guy, always watches the shows, and he just put interesting question. Would I, meaning me, but I'm putting it to you guys, would you swap Minte for Adeyemi at Dortmund? He hasn't got a clue. What would you guys do? Would you swap Minte for Adeyemi? Similar age, profile, although Adeyemi is more sort of left winger, can maybe play on the right hand side. What would you do?
What would I do? Because I saw this. I saw you saying that you'd asked this today. So what I would do is, yes, I would bring in Adeyemi. Champions League experience, played absolutely unreal against. Okay, so does Minta actually, but he played unreal against us. So wasn't great in the Champions League final, but you're asking me a player who has proven himself, and or a player who has the potential to be amazing. So you'd have to go with who has proven himself, especially when they're in around the same age. So I'd go for Adeyemi, but I don't want us to sell Minta. I want us to give him preseason, see what he can do, and even if he's not being loaned out again, I want to see what he can do. Actually, Dortmund are interested in Minta. I read today the new manager that's come in. He's a former player. He is interested in Minta as well, so to try and take him on loan. So I don't know. But yeah, to answer the question, I take Adeyemi. It's a no-brainer in that sense for me.
Loan for a loan?
Yeah, there we go. We'll try that. Right.
That could potentially work. But yeah, I would do that deal. Adeyemi's got Champions League experience more so than Minte. Minte has got Champions League experience too, but he's played. He's nearly won the Champions League. He's taken it to that level. He's got more experience at the top level as well. And for me, I would say I would take that deal. Minte would get valuable experience playing for Dortmund. He'd get plenty of minutes, an opportunity to improve his game. For me, he'd get an opportunity to improve his game at in a more difficult league. So we get to see his progression there, going from the Dutch league to the German league. Can he make the transition and still play well? So we'd still be able to monitor him, and we'd get the benefits of Adeyemi, lightning quick, more experience at the top level than Minte, being able to come in. I don't think I'd think twice about that one. I think that would be a really good deal if it was a loan for a loan. I think that would make sense for both parties. I actually do think Adeyemi could do a job on that right hand side. I think he could cause a lot of problems. If not, play him on the left and have him fight out of Barnes, Gordon on the right. There are options there. But you're bringing in a much higher level player than what we've already got, and that's the key. That's what I would want. So for me, I would on a loan for a loan. I'd make that deal, definitely.
Right, we take some questions.
Yeah, why not?
Right, I'll go straight to this one. Tom Dixon asks, he's just giving us kind of the information really, because Sandro Tonali linked with Tomori swap deal.
Yes,
I can hear that.
It's here. The Chronicle, Lee Ryder reported that Sandro Tonali. He's reported it because it came from Italy. Reports in Italy have suggested that Sandro Tonali has been linked with a swap move with Tomori coming to Newcastle and Sandro Tonali going back to AC Milan. What Lee Ryder is suggesting here that Newcastle aren't even going to entertain anything like that.
Jargon, not a chance.
You know what though, Daz, and I don't know what other people think in the chat. Like, I wouldn't put it past AC Milan. And actually, if they came in for Sandro Tonali, that would convince me that they knew about his issue before they sold him. Because basically what they've done is made us take the punishment for it, and then they want him back when he's now allowed to play when punishment's done. That would tell me everything I needed to know about AC Milan in that situation. And I actually think I think it's rubbish. I think the Italian media and people in Italy would love him to come back to AC Milan. I don't think AC Milan are going to try that at all, because I think for me, that gives Newcastle United all the ammunition to go, right, we're going in now. Some sort of case, some sort of finger pointing towards AC Milan with regards to this. That would definitely give them the ammo to do so.
Hey, it would help our financial fair play situation, our PSR or anchoring situation, whatever you're having yourself, but not before 30th of June. Yeah, no, I don't. I think it's just an easy article to write. They know we needed a defender. It's just and I saw it's been linked with them, but I didn't see that swap deal. That's just ridiculous.
Would you take Tomori? Would you take Tomori? Because there are some rumours in there talking about Tomori as such. NUFC Gallagher reported from the Football Insider that we'd made contact with AC Milan over Tomori. Team Talk had mentioned something similar, that they'd heard that we'd made contact. Would he be the player that you would look for to bring in? And the reason why I said that is because in the Athletic, it mentions that obviously we have Kelly as a potential left-sided centre back, but we're looking at as well a right-sided centre back. And if you remember, anybody that watched the Keith Downey show when Keith Downey was on with us last week, he actually mentioned something similar. Because I think we asked him the question: are we now, if we're going to get Kelly confirmed, and we have now, would we go and get another centre back? He said a right-sided centre back. Well, Tomori can play right centre back. That's his position. Is he the guy for you, Daz?
He's a great player. I think he costs too much. And then dealing with AC Milan again, I'm not so sure. They're not going to do us a favour.
They always want.
They owe us one, but still they'll be left hanging for that one they owe us. So no, I don't think it'll happen. They'll probably tick the box for Eddie because he's English. But for me, if we're going to be spending big money, I'll go elsewhere. I'd bring in someone slightly younger as well. Osman Diomande, as I keep mentioning as well. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I saw that and I kind of got 10% chance of that happening. I could put a percentage in all these transfers, but I don't think that one goes through.
Okay, interesting. One to keep an eye on, that's for sure. That is for sure. Janos, I'm going to just jump in with this one, Daz, because I'll ask you on this one, because Janos mentioned a few times in the chat, just in the last few minutes, about the fact that we were willing, or potentially were willing, to pay 60 million for his release clause. And his question is, for 60 million, what Premier League winger couldn't we get? And he's asked the question to everybody, really. Anybody else in the chat can answer it. I'll ask it to you, Daz. Is Olise really the best around that we could get? I know we've mentioned other ones like Madueke, but he's not on that level. What is Olise the best around for a winger that you could get for 60 million?
With Premier League experience and age on his side, yes, because that's that release clause that it's not going to go beyond that. So that's why it would make sense. We know the fee it is before you even get into the conversation, and we would all take a gamble on bringing in someone that from a foreign league who was tearing it up in another league and throw them in the Premier League. But it's not Football Manager either. This is real life. It's Eddie has his way of doing it, and he wants to be able to clearly communicate with them as well, and bring them into his way of playing ball. So that's why Olise would ticks an awful lot of boxes, and you can see that's why Newcastle have gone for him. They may not be willing to spend like 60 million on someone else from Europe or and the next big thing coming from Brazil, so that's kind of something to keep in mind too.
Craig Leach has put in there, you could get Rafinha for 60 million. Now, if you had the opportunity to kind of wait it out and see, no guarantee, if you could get Olise or you could go and pay 60 million for Rafinha, what would you do? Rafinha's 28. Obviously, the age gap's different. It's 28. Like, what would you go for?
Now I want Olise, because the age thing as well. The injury thing there's a bit of a worry for me. Along with Neto, the injury thing is definitely a worry when it comes to Neto. But Rafinha has done it in the Premier League already. Barcelona might be willing to do a deal. I don't want to pay 60 million for him though, especially if he's 28. Oh, the old Ferdinand Torres, who was mentioned there the other day as well. Getting him for a cut price deal would be nice, and then giving us cash elsewhere in the pitch. So, but for now, let's stay in the game for Olise and see how it plays out. Hopefully, it doesn't go on too long. That decision is made one way or the other, and we can move on with our own business.
Definitely. Rafinha is ready to go. Like his fitness levels are good. Obviously, the age is the huge thing, but his output is good, really good as well. But like you said, when you're getting someone of that age, you've got a player in Olise that can potentially build a team around. Some people have put Brian Mbeumo in there as well. He's 23, 24. Great player. Maybe not got the output of the other two players. I don't think he's got the goals and assists and the final ball, but that doesn't mean that he can't do that coming to Newcastle United. He's definitely showing that he can, and he's got the ability to. But yeah, it's coming.
I have a question for you, Pete. I don't see one in the chat, but I know we talked about it towards the end of the Keith Downey show, and I know yourself and Ollie spoke about it as well. So, does anyone know for certain how many more sleepless nights do I have to go through worrying about Bruno? Do I have to go all the way till June, or is it just next week after to get there?
Well, I was under the impression, and I think a few in the chat were under the impression as well, that it was the 24th of June, which is next Monday. Yeah, like next Monday is the 24th. So that for me, I thought that was the deadline. Some people feel that it's the 30th, and I'm not quite sure. Now, when it was first reported, it was reported to be the last week of May to the last week of June, that 4-week period, which would take it to sort of like that Monday the 24th. So for me, I'm kind of sticking to that mentality. I think people, when I kind of asked around, weren't quite sure of it. Some people said the 30th of June it is. Some people thought it might be the 24th like we did. I'm not quite sure, but there has been a few updates with regards to Bruno over the last couple of days. So Rob Dawson of ESPN, who reports on Man City in particular, has said that Man City will consider a move to sign Bruno Guimaraes, but only if he asks to leave. And it says, however, they don't value Bruno Guimaraes at 100 million. Now, to add to that, which has caused quite a bit of concern within the circles of Man City, is this. And it was also reported by Rob Dawson only yesterday that Man City are prepared to head into next season with the same squad and may not make a major summer signing unless a player asks to leave and their valuation is met. Now, that for me is a big update with regards to Bruno, because, you know, if Man City are saying we're happy with what we've got, that doesn't say to me, with potentially less than a week, maybe even 2, if it is going to the 30th, that they're even looking to exercise that clause. But for the first part, Daz, this part here, that was a really interesting part. Man City will only consider a move to sign Bruno if he asks to leave. Does that fill you with confidence?
I was just messing. Bruno's going nowhere anyway. So yeah, I don't have any sleepless nights worried about Bruno, because he is going nowhere. I'd be very, 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 very surprised to hear him moving this season. Because once we get past June, we can name our price. But and if someone were going to buy him, they'd buy him before that deadline. Although saying that, remember Liverpool swooped in for Dominic Szoboszlai on their last the day before he's yeah, that was interesting. But
different situation though. Dominic Szoboszlai was always leaving. He was always going. Whereas this is the thing, because like, does anybody see Bruno Guimaraes asking to leave Newcastle United? I don't.
No, I think he gives everything to Newcastle for this season. We have to get Champions League, or I think we can say goodbye to him then.
Yeah,
and that to me is fair enough.
Yeah, I'm with you. Ali B has mentioned only 6 days left now, so Ali B is the same mindset as me. I was sure that it was Monday, and if it is Monday, and these reports coming out with regards to Man City, that for me says that they haven't got the assurances from Bruno Guimaraes that they wanted. They need a little something from that player. They're almost, these reports from Man City that I'm hearing and that we've just put on the screen suggest to me that Man City are trying to get Bruno to force their hand. They're trying to say to Bruno, we want you to say that you want to leave, almost to encourage that next phase of that movement. I don't see Bruno Guimaraes doing that. Bruno's not going to force his way out of Newcastle United. And if Bruno Guimaraes is not going to force his way out of Newcastle United, for me, I think Bruno Guimaraes will stay at Newcastle United. The one thing that we haven't talked about, and in my opinion, I'm not even considering, is that after that deadline's done, if I'm those Newcastle United owners, and if we're fans of Newcastle United, we are saying Bruno doesn't leave. I don't care if at the end of the window, at the end of August, it comes out that someone puts in a bid for him and he's umming and ahhing about it. At that point, once that deadline is done, Bruno Guimaraes doesn't leave this club. He stays. And we prepare the season with him in it. It's as simple as that. So for me, for Man City, it's all or nothing. They either put him for the clause now or they don't get him.
Linked into Man City, Dennis in the know has said, I've got a question, lads. What do you think that now we're hearing that there might be a deal done between the Premier League and City to settle the case? I haven't heard that.
I haven't heard that myself. And normally speak to LB, and he's got his connections from the Man City persuasion, and he hasn't mentioned that at all. I'll drop him a message in a bit and ask him if he knows anything. Not heard anything about a deal to be done. To be fair, I think that would be like breaking news everywhere if that was the case. If they were looking to do a deal in that case. But what deal, for me, what deal could they possibly do? The only deal that they could possibly do is to review the rule that's in place, the third party transaction rule. And if they're going to change that rule to make it more favourable to Man City, okay, fair enough. We benefit from it too. So great, like that's not a problem. But
that deal.
What can it possibly be? A financial deal? How does that work? And if it's a deal where they just shake hands and they benefit from it, as in Man City, then I'd be fully expecting the likes of Villa and Newcastle to be knocking on the door going, hold on a second, you just made a deal with them so they can benefit. Well, what about us? We don't benefit from it. So therefore, that could open up a massive can of worms with other clubs going in for cases against the Premier League as well, if that's the case. I'm not quite sure. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, leading into next week, there's a lot to happen. The whole Bruno situation, whether it's the 24th or not, and then hearing what was the outcome of that case to Man City and the Premier League. So a lot to lead us into next week. I think we're going to wrap up for the night, Pete. The matches are back on again in Portugal. It's Lisa's Czechia against Tampatune's Portugal. So the Ronaldo show. Let's see how that plays out. But we will be back. We'll be back. We're waiting for some breaking news or something to happen, and we will be back on the scene again. But until then, thanks for watching. Make sure to hit the like button on the way out. Thanks as well to our sponsors in Manscaped and the Radiator Shed and H2O Bathroom as well. And use the code LOADED20 to talk to the lads there and get started. That's it. How'd you like that? Good night.